Welcome back. We do not always get a guest who has such rich experience of media as well as the corporate world. Mr. Shamim Ahmad is a consultant. He has his own firm, his own agency, whatever call it, and he is still involved with the media. And as a consultant, he provides opinions and information and ideas to many big and giant companies. So we were talking about media, see, and then we moved on to consultation and corporate world. See, the corporate world of Bangladesh is fantastic. They are doing so well for the country. See, they have employed people of ability and ideas, and they are flourishing. See, and somewhere down in there, when I was trying to find information for this program, I found the word governance. See, and this governance tickles me because we need good governance. See, but Bangladeshi corporate world does not exist in vacuum. We need good governance on our streets, in our hospitals, at our train stations, airports, everywhere. See, and we see a lack of it. Are you bothered by that?
Yeah, I mean, I wish things were better, but let me start by saying that we have to admit Bangladesh has come a long way.
True.
And even in the areas of governance, Bangladesh definitely has come a long way. There are many pluses, many positives that you can see, you can name, you can list.
Yeah,
but then again, there are also a huge list of negatives, which many of which could easily...
let's say unachieved targets.
Unachieved targets, indeed. Well, you said you see the absence of governance on the streets. For example, if you say, take that word literally,
yeah,
you see the condition on the road, the traffic. Now, we have a part of the metropolitan city, Dhaka, and the metropolitan city of Chittagong, which is known as the cantonment area.
Right.
And public transport are allowed to go through those areas.
Through that, yes.
The moment we enter that particular area, everything falls in place.
Yeah.
Everybody is disciplined. Everybody obeys the
keeps to their lanes.
Yeah, obeys the laws.
Keep the distance.
They try absolutely. They try not to break it.
Yeah.
So that goes to show that I am not basically an undisciplined person.
True.
So I know how to behave, where and how to behave. So it is possible to introduce all that into the non-cantonment areas as well.
True.
So I would say that there is indeed a lack of probably just not governance, it's a lack of
accountability.
Goodwill, accountability. In general, all over the country, that's the main problem. Mm-hmm. There is a lack of accountability. You can get away with murder.
People are getting away with murder.
Yeah, people are getting away with murder. People have gotten away with murder of Rooney and Shagar for so many years now.
Yes.
That's right. I mean, you can list the,
yes. The list is long, way long.
List.
It's getting longer and longer.
It gets longer and longer. So again, literally in the true sense, you can get away with murder. Now, there are problems, and those governance issues can be resolved. If you look at your neighboring countries, even India, for example, the way they are now moving, if you look at Malaysia, if you look at Thailand, I remember in the 1970s when our country was liberated, the Thai baht was equivalent to the Bangladeshi taka. Today, I don't have to tell you what the difference is. If you see the medical services in Thailand, if you see the medical services in Malaysia, if you see the medical services in India, and if you look at the medical services in my country, again, there are a lot of development in that sector in my country. You have these 5-star hospitals, and there are some superb doctors. But sadly, the pressure on these institutions are huge, and because of the lack of accountability, you don't get the kind of service that you ought to be getting.
Right.
And that's why people still continue
To go
abroad for medical services. The same is the case with, you see, in most of these sectors, you will see, due to this lack of accountability, people don't try to improve or develop. So
because this system is working. It's
Yeah,
bringing
I mean,
me money, so it's okay.
you've been hearing the news about how much money is has been defaulted from banks.
Yep.
Okay. Now, there are good reasons for those defaults, and there are some bad reasons for those defaults. There are people who have taken money from the bank with the full intention of not paying it back. And then there are people who took money from the banks to invest,
Right.
and because of other problems in other sectors, which were so constricting and so difficult to actually do business with,
Right.
they were not.
They have defaulted.
They have defaulted. But again, this, if there was accountability, if there was good governance, this would not have happened.
No.
This would not have happened.
I mean, I'm sure that you have at the back of your mind, you have these 4,000 taka, 4,000 crore taka, which was termed by very distinguished people as nothing, peanuts. And it's not peanuts in any currency, 4,000 crore taka. Even baht, it's not peanuts, see. But that is the attitude that if people can get away with it. As you rightly said, that there are people who have defaulted for no fault of theirs.
Yes, absolutely. And they are now being bracketed with those who have defaulted willfully.
Yep.
And so it becomes very difficult for good business people to do business. And they can't get money now because they've defaulted.
Yeah.
And so...
And recently, it came from some very high office that if those who defaulted, if they were caught or put behind bars, the banks will fail or something. You see, I don't know whether that's servicing the loans, whether servicing the overdraft, or they have just run away. I mean, I do not know.
No, I think the fear comes from the fact that, you know, the money is gone out from the banks.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got to get those money back, and you can be sure that you won't get all that money back. But then again, if you tried, you could get a significant amount back.
True.
And that's public money. That's money that the depositors had put into the banks.
Mm-hmm.
One really doesn't know the real picture of how much has been taken away, how much money the banks are supposed to get back. So the fear is that it could be so big that if you suddenly put away all those people who you term as the criminals, then you won't get that money back anymore. And if you can't get even a bit of that money back, then the entire system will collapse. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but whether the money is can be recovered, that is the point. The money is not there, perhaps.
Well, I believe a significant part can be recovered. Yes.
That's good news. You have an organization called Cambridge Change IP. What's that? Is it something to do with youth?
With
youth research and development? It's not you.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
All right. When you write that you also have helped as an executive coach and a workshop facilitator, what is an executive coach?
Well, basically, executive coaches are those people who try to help
the
executives, usually in your part of the world, in Europe and America. These are people who coach the chairman of companies or managing directors of companies, very senior people.
Yeah.
In our country, very senior people don't take that kind of a help because they feel that they don't need to. So these executive coaches usually get involved with the mid-level, mid-management. But I have coached, and I continue to coach, very senior people, managing directors as well as chairmen, who willingly come to me and ask me that this is a problem that I have and I need you to advise me on this. So I call myself an executive coach, but they like to call me a senior management consultant. So, that probably makes it more comfortable.
They are more comfortable.
More comfortable with that term, yes.
They don't want to be coached.
Perhaps not, yes.
When you are coaching these people or providing them with good consultancy, how much receptive are they?
When I began my career as a consultant, it was like a fad that we will have a consultant.
Yeah.
So they didn't really understand what consulting was about and how that can help them. But happily, that is changing and has changed to a great extent. The reception is good. It's only that there are areas which are sensitive, and they wouldn't want the consultants to, as outsiders, to get into those areas too much. So if you don't tread in those areas, then you're okay. You're okay. Otherwise, the reception is pretty good.
How is the attitude of our top management people towards these things that are happening in the banking world? I mean, are they happy? Are they not happy? Would they like to avoid it, or would they like to also take a part of share? Right?
No. I think, there's a lot of talk about that the management gets involved and they are on the wrong side and they benefit from it monetarily. There are always good and bad people, and I believe, and I sincerely believe, and I'm not saying this for just saying it, I do sincerely believe, from my experience, what I've seen, most people are good people, and the management, they try their best to avoid situations where the business is going to get into trouble. They do not have the kind of support that they need often from sponsors and often from regulators. There are compromises, and that's where the management gets caught in a very, very serious situation. The members of management usually do not get involved in crimes of the kind that you're referring to.
The regulators, you said, like whatever they are the management people involved in business world? Do they really, the regulators, can they really control them? Can they have any exercise their control over them? Or do they have the power, or it's just like it's like you have ACC, anti-corruption office or cabinet or committee, whatever that is. And it seems that people are going around in circles from one court to another, and then sometimes they are transferred from the prize locations to faraway places as a punishment.
You see, the regulators have done good jobs, but they could have done a lot more, and there is a need to do a lot more. There are two sectors which are highly regulated in Bangladesh. One is the banking sector, the financial sector, and the other is the pharmaceutical sector. Had they not been able to do a reasonably good job, the banking sector would have collapsed long time ago. So I will definitely give credit to the Bangladesh Bank for having averted or prevented the public from, or having protected the interest of the public, the depositors.
On that very positive note, Mr. Shamim Ahmad, we will take a break.
Okay.
Don't go away. We will be back after this very short break. Thank you.